Okay, fantastic. So thank you so much. Welcome everyone to the App Garden and the Travel Tracker. We are so excited to be partnering with you there in Eden Prairie with the Travel Tracker. We really look forward to a long relationship. Today's training is for bus drivers, and we're going to talk about how you will bid for trips that you would like to go on. So basically, you'll just be indicating your interest and availability using the travel tracker and an electronic bid process. Now, before we jump into that training piece, I do want to just briefly go over how you register to use the travel tracker. Anyone who uses a travel tracker does need to register, and it's a pretty easy process. This is just kind of a flow of how the process works. But when you register, you will have a link to the travel tracker. And one way you'll get the link is in an email that I'll send you. Of course, Brian and Randy have that. And I'm assuming it may be somewhere on your maybe school system website or something. Is that right, Brian? Are you going to have
Not
that
yet.
link available?
Not yet, but it will be.
It will be. Okay. Yeah, but anyway, so you'll get that link in that email or from Brian or from Randy or on the website whenever it's available. And when you click on that link, it's going to take you to a login screen. Now, the very first time you use it, you're going to click on this green button. It says new registration, new to the App Garden, new registration. So you'll want to click on that link. Now we'll point out that the system works best on Chrome or Firefox. We're really not even recommending Safari anymore because it's got some issues with it where it's not really supporting some of the features of Travel Tracker. Please definitely don't use the Internet Explorer, that IE or Edge, because it does not support all of the features of Travel Tracker. So make sure you're using either Chrome or Firefox as your browser and click on that new registration button. Then it's going to ask you to enter in your email address and then to enter it in again to confirm it. Now, this is only for drivers who have an Eden Prairie email address. Okay, so if you do not have an Eden Prairie email address that you're going to be using to log in, I will need to pre-register you kind of behind the scenes because we do lock down the travel tracker to only people who have an Eden Prairie email address. So we don't, want students or something to be able to come in here and register and be mischievous and enter in trip requests. So this is locked down to only the Eden Prairie domain. So if you have a Eden Prairie email address, come in and enter it in. You will do it twice and then click the continue button. Then it's going to take you to a screen that's going to allow you to create a password and then to put in your first, middle, and last name, and then you'll just simply click the register button. Now at that point, the system is going to alert you that you need to go to your email. So you'll open up that email address and then look for a email from DAdmin. And it will have in the subject, it'll say action required. So find that email and open it up. And then there will be a link in that email. And you just simply click that link and that activates your registration. And basically what we're doing here is just making sure that's a real email address so that, you didn't accidentally fat finger something and key in the wrong thing, you won't get your activation email. So we're just making sure it's the right email address so that you can be notified through the travel tracker when you've been assigned to a trip. So once you have done that, your email is activated. Now, let me those that are not using an Eden Prairie school email address, like I said, I'll pre-register you. And then you will still get this email. So that's how you'll know you have been pre-registered because you'll get the email from DAdmin that says action required. And you need to also open that email and click on the link, and that will complete that registration process for you. So very easy to get registered. So once you have activated your registration, then you will come back into your travel tracker link and simply key in that email address that you registered and the password that you created and click sign in. And that will allow you to get into the system. Now, if you have any problems with getting into the system, you can click on this need help down here at the bottom, and that will connect you with our support desk, and one of those agents can help you with your registration if you're having registration issues. Now notice that on the right here, there's also a forgot password button. So those of you that are pre-registered, I will pre-register you with a password, a generic password, and we'll let you know what that is. Brian or Randy can let you know what that's going to be. But you'll probably want to come in and change your password to one that is unique and not the same, because everybody will have the same one to start with if I pre-register you. Okay. So you'll want to click that forgot password and follow the steps to change your password. So any questions on how to register before we move forward?
Yeah, we got a question.
Do we do it
okay.
district email address or the one we put on the sheet?
So Sharon, I'm passing it on the sheet right now. Some of them are changing their email address. That's the one that they're going to use, correct? That's the one we're going to send them the pre-registration?
Right. Whatever email address they want to use to sign into the system to be able to bid, that's the one they need to give us, and that's the one they need to register, because that's how the system's going to know who they are, is by that email address.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, one more.
Can we carry over our current username and password? Or do we got to create all new username and password?
The question is about, they have a current username and password. The username is just going to be their email, correct, Sharon? So that you will not be able to keep. But you can set your password to whatever you want. Is that correct?
Right. So is that driver, do they have like an Eden Prairie account?
They would, but on an old system, it was you'd set up a username. It wasn't simply defaulted.
Oh, this one is just your email address and the whole email address. So that's what if you want to be notified through your email at school, then that's the one you'll register.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great. Those were good questions. All right. So let's go ahead and look at how you're going to be bidding for trips. So here's an example of your screen here, and it says Eden Prairie on it, and you see where you put your email in. So I'm going to just log in with a testing email for a driver. So I'm going to key in my email and my password and click the sign in button. So when I sign in as a driver, notice at the top right, I'm seeing my login, my email, and then I see the word log out. So when you're finished, you would log out. And then underneath that, up here in the right, there's a link to the support and training. So if you are in the travel tracker and you're working away or bidding and you have a question or something, don't hesitate to let the support desk know. That's why they're there. So you can click on that link. And during our regular business hours, we are in North Carolina. We're on the East Coast. We have Eastern time. So we are, you guys are an hour behind me. So it's 10:45 here. So, but during our business hours, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 5:30, we have live agents on the desk ready to help you. And down here in the lower left, there's a little blue icon. If you click on that, you can chat back and forth with one of the agents, or you could ask them to give you a call if you wanted to talk on the phone, and they would be able to help you with any of your questions that you might have. If it's after hours, nights, weekends, holidays. In the middle of the screen is a link that says create a support ticket. So if that little blue icon is not there, you can create a support ticket, put your contact information and a description of what your question is or your problem, and submit this. And then someone will be with you the next business day, early in the morning the next business day. Now, if it's urgent and critical and, life cannot go on unless you hear from them, they will even contact you on nights or weekends or holidays. But most of the time it'll be the next business day, but they'll get back with you and answer your question. Also notice underneath this graphic, we have links to our training videos. And so there will be a driver training video there. Now, it's a generic training. I am recording this training, and that training will also be available from Randy or Brian. You can ask them for the link once it's published, and watch this training again if you need to. So keep in mind, those options there. So anyway, that's how you get help. One of the ways that you can get help in the travel tracker. Now, let's go back into the way that we were when we logged in. So notice here over on the left, I've got 3 tabs: a main tab, a calendar tab, and a driver tab. Now, it's going to default me to this driver tab, and I'm going to be ready to just start, bidding. Now, when you log in, it's automatically going to show you your assignments. So any trips that you've already been assigned to, you would be able to see a list of those trips here. And they're going to come sorted by pickup date. So the trip at the top of the list will be the next trip going out. But you can choose to sort it other ways if you'd like to. The bid ID here is a drop down, and it's going to show you the date of the trips. And so if you wanted to see a particular date that you have been assigned to drive, you would just simply choose that date on the drop down. The zone, you guys are only one zone, is the main zone. And then your driver, you should only see you in the driver drop down. There would only be you. There is a way that you can print your trips, the list of trips that you've been assigned to, if you'd like to. Of course, they'll be here whenever you log in, but if you'd like to print your list of trips, you can. Notice also in your driver tab, there is a bus driver quick reference. This is another way to get help. It's going to take you step by step through the bid process, give you instructions and step-by-step information about everything that we'll talk about today on this training. So that's always there at your fingertips that you can click to open that and kind of refresh yourself maybe on how did we do this bid thing. But it's very, very easy. You're going to be very pleased. So I think one of the first things that Brian would like for you to do and that you would maybe find very, very helpful would be to check out the calendar first. And so you do have a tab for the calendar, and notice that you have all 3 calendars. The trip calendar is going to be the one you're going to want to check out, though, to start with before you start bidding, because you're going to want to maybe kind of look at the calendar and see what trips are coming up and in the different days in the future. So you'll choose the month, and I think we have some trips out here in April, and so you can see those trips. Notice that there are little scroll bars on some of the dates, and if you use the little scroll bar and pull down, you can see all of the trips that are listed on that date that have been requested. Now, this calendar does show all of the trips that have been requested. Some of the trips, as you can see, are in blue. Some of them are in orange. Now, the trips that are in blue are approved, and those will be the only ones you can bid on. The trips that are in orange are still pending approval. They're somewhere in the approval process, so they won't show up on your bid until they are approved, okay? Now, if you would like to see a little more information, like you can see, it's a field trip or it's an athletic trip. You can see the school that's traveling and where they're going. But if you wanted to see a little bit more information, you can hover over any of these trips. Just hover your mouse over it, and it'll bring up a window that'll give you more information, like the time that they're leaving and time they're returning, where they're going, who the teacher is or the coach perhaps, the type of event it is. If it is an athletic event, you would see the team or the sport. Any special comments, like, where are we going to be picking up the group, would be there. And if passenger count was available, you would see that information as well on your little pop-up window here. So utilize the calendar to see if there's what trips are coming up. Notice that the calendar does have some filters on it. So if you were only interested in driving for a particular school, for example, you could use the school drop down. These are abbreviations for your schools, but you could say, I'm really only interested in driving for Eden Prairie High School. You could click on that. Or Eagle Zone or whatever. You could choose and filter down and then only see that school's trips. Maybe you're only interested in driving on athletic trips, and you could filter down and only see that type of trip. So that can be, a way to maybe kind of narrow down the options if you would like, if you don't want to see all of those. Notice that there is a little video in here embedded that's a training video on using the trips calendar. If you wanted to see some of the different things that you can do with this calendar, you can do that. Take a look at that. So anyway, once you have investigated using the calendar of what trips are coming up, you're ready to start bidding. And so you're going to do that from your driver tab. And you're going to click on this first option here at the top that says trips available for bidding. So when you click on that, it's going to bring up a list of trips that are available on any particular day. Now, notice that my first bid is back in November, and of course we're interested in trips that are in the future. So you'll come through and look for, and I think we've got some trips in April that are going out. So let me just look at this April the 2nd. I believe there was some. So I'm able to see there's 3 trips on April the 2nd going out that are available. So notice there are 2 panels, basically. There's a trips side, and then there's a bid side. And right now, there's only on the trip side. The bid side doesn't have anything in it because I haven't bid on anything yet. What's the information that I can see in my column here? Oh, well, I just hovered over the more. That showed you some information. But let me first look at the basic stuff here. We've got a trip number, and we can see the school that's traveling. We can see the date and the time of the trip and how many hours long this trip is scheduled to be. We can see the type of trip, where they're going, and what kind of vehicle they've asked to use. So that's the information that you can see. If you need more information, instead of going to the calendar, you could use the calendar, but you can also hover over the word more, and it's going to bring up a little window that shows you more information, more details about this particular trip. And so again, it's got a lot of that same information that the calendar had on it. This is a field trip, so you can see the group that's traveling in this one, as well as the grade level. So the comments, that are specific to you as the driver, how many vehicles have been requested, how many students are going. So all that information is there in that more. So let's say, for example, then, that you are interested and available for this trip. That's what the bid's doing, is your interest and availability. So if you would like to drive on this trip, you're going to click on the bid button. And what that's going to do then is throw that trip over on the bid side. Okay. Now, when it gets over to the bid side, notice that you have a button that says adjust hours given up. Now, what this is going to be utilized for in your district is a way for you to indicate that that this trip could or will throw you into overtime, so that Brian can know that when he gets ready to assign. And so what we are having you do is to use this feature to indicate that. And so when you click on that, it's going to pull up a way for you to indicate that you're going to be in overtime. So now Brian, remind me, did we say we were going to have them put something in hours and then the comments put OT or something? What was going to be our kind of code for this?
Yeah, I don't think you put a comment unless you fill in the first field. So just put 0.
Right. Okay.
And then I think we had a question, if we can circle back to a question.
Okay.
On the calendar screen, I didn't see anywhere about details, or wheelchair or trailer, anything like that. I didn't see where it showed what was not required.
Or number of vehicles, maybe. I don't know if I saw that either on the calendar.
Sharon, the question is, when you hover over the calendar, on the calendar page, I believe it shows if it needs a lift bus or a trailer in the number of vehicles. All that is shown when you hover over a trip, correct?
It may not be in the calendar. We'll have to look back at that. But it will be. I think it will be in the more on the trip side. That is one of the things that we've heard from another district just recently, that they need to see a little bit more information in the more calendar. So if it's not, the number of vehicles is in the more on the bid side, but we're going to make it so that it shows on the trip side too. But let me show you that after we fill this little part in here. Brian, remind, what were they did you just want them to put OT in there if it's going to put them into overtime, or was there something else they were going to do to kind of indicate that?
Just OT is fine. Sometimes they can elaborate if there's a situation, if I'm aware of this, it will put me in overtime, or, it's kind of.
Okay. All right. So what will be then, and when you want to let him know that you're going into overtime, you'll click that adjust hours button, put the 0 in, and then add in your comments. You can just put OT, or you can add more to it, and then click the save button. And so what that'll do then is when Brian gets ready to assign, that'll give him that information, and he'll know that. So let's look at what we can see in the more on the trips piece here. We do see the number of vehicles requested, see at the bottom, and the number of students going, and then any comments that might have been specific to that particular trip. Now, there isn't an indication of the type of vehicle requested, so I think we just had bus here, but like you said, there isn't anything about trailers or anything like that in the comments here.
Would there be if it was needed?
Yeah, the question is, because I know this one does not have any lift buses. Would it be there if it was?
I didn't see a place for that. Let's look here. On the bid side, there is. Notice the third one from the bottom. It indicates the vehicle type and the lift. Now that is something, like I said, that we just recently heard that the two boxes have different information, and it would be very helpful on the trip side to see that information in that window. So I think that's something that's going to be changed, so that lift information and the vehicle type is in before you bid on it, because it doesn't make sense to wait until I bid on it to see that information. I need to know that before I bid on it. So that is something that we're going to be, adjusting in that first window.
Correct. Yep, that would be helpful.
Okay. All right. So let's move on then, and go ahead and bid on some other trips. So I'm reading through and I'm seeing all of this is happening on, the 2nd, and I can see the different times, and I'm available. So if I wanted to bid on all of these, I could. Okay. And remember, if you needed to give up hours, you could. Now, once you have bid on them, if you would like to, you can prioritize these trips as to the one that you are most interested in and put them in a priority order. And the way that you do that, once you have clicked to bid on them, you can come back over to your options over here on the left and click on Prioritize Your Bids. So when I click on that, it's going to bring me to my list of trips that I just bid on, and I can see them here, and then I can see priority number 1, the one I really want to do, is trip 18, and then 16, and then 17. So if I wanted to change the order of these trips, I'm going to use the little move up arrow and move it up in priority. So let's say really 17 is really the one I want to do, go into the science museum, maybe my child's in that class or whatever it might be, but this is the one I'm most interested in. So I'm going to click move up and move 17 up to the number 1 spot here. Now, if I needed to, if maybe I was looking at some of these and I realized, oh wait, I can't do this one at this time. This one's not going to work for me. I shouldn't have bid on it. If you need to remove it from your list, you can do that as well. In the little check box over here beside trip 16, I can just click in there to put a check mark, and then I'm going to delete that bid by clicking on the button with the trash can on it. And it'll ask me, are you sure that's the one you want to delete? And you'll just say, yep, that's the one I want to take off. And it'll just remove it from your list. And now you can go back and forth between your trips available for bidding and add trips in, and your prioritizing. You can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until you get them the way that you want them. Okay. Now, once you have them, you've bid on the ones you're interested in, and you have them in the order that you want them in. Get back to the second. There we go. You're done. You don't have to submit it. You don't have to save it or anything like that. You're done. Now, if you would like to, we do give you some print buttons here. So if you would like to and you have access to a printer, you can click on the print bids button here and print the bids that you bid on in the order that you bid on them. So that's something that you could do if you would like to. You could also print your the bids that you just bid on the first screen. So if you needed to do that, you can print your bids here. Okay, so there's print buttons in both places. But anyway, that's basically it. Very, very easy. Like I said, once you have them in the order you want them, then you're done. You don't have to submit or anything like that. You would simply just come to the log out and log out. And then your bids are going to be then visible and available to transportation, and they'll be able to see who's bid on those trips and the priority, and then you guys will be assigned as they, determine the bid assignment piece. Once you have been assigned to a trip, the system can notify you either with an email or a text, depending on what information you have provided. So if when you've been assigned, you'll receive an email or a text notification that you've been assigned to a particular trip. So you'll know about it that way. Also, remember, you can log in and it will take you to your assignments, and you'll be able to see the trips that you've been assigned to through the system if you don't want to wait on the email. So you can see it that way as well. So again, just to review, I'm going to be indicating my availability by clicking on the bid button. It will put it into my bid list. If I need to adjust or if I need to indicate this could throw me into overtime, I'm going to use the adjust hours given up feature. I'm going to put a 0 in the hours given up and OT and more if you need to in the comments, and save that. So that's how you'll indicate that situation. If you want to prioritize your list, once you've got it, you'll click on the prioritize your bid button or option. Choose the bid that you were working in. Move them up and down using the move up and down button, or delete something that you didn't mean to bid on or you no longer are interested in by clicking on the checkbox and click the delete selected bids. And it'll say, are you sure? You'll say, yep, I'm sure. I don't want to do that one. And then once you've got them in the order that you want them, you're done. If you would like to print them, you can. Otherwise, you can just log out, and that will keep those bids there and ready for transportation to make the assignments. So any questions on the calendar again, or the driver tab, how you're going to indicate your interest in a trip by bidding on it?
Yep, couple questions here.
Have we clarified special instruction?
Can you go look at the calendar tab, Sharon?
Sure.
And what pulls up?
Yes, right. So in the, and remember, you want to look at the trip calendar. That is one of the things. It does default to the vehicle calendar, but until there's an assignment, you won't see it on the vehicle calendar. So you always want to take a look at the trip calendar. And then when you go and hover over one of these, you can see some details there. And so we don't see the type of vehicle requested on this. So you will have to use your bid, the driver tab, and that bid more to see that information.
Does it show if it's one way or round trip?
Right now we have a split trip in there. I don't know what date, but right now they're all round trips. But if it was a split trip, do you know how it would indicate, Sharon?
It would indicate it in the bid. I don't know that it does on the request form. See, on the request, sometimes there's not even an assignment made yet. These are, so it's possible that we couldn't have a split because, you know, the requester can't split it. So it may be split at the point of the assignment.
Right.
So it doesn't always show up there.
Split, you need to make a take a return.
Yeah.
See, because everybody.
So they'd have to see that from the bid window. It wouldn't be on the calendar.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the calendar is just going to give them the basics of the information. Really, where they're going to get their best information is from their driver, from the bid window, from the.
So the calendars give you an indication of what day you should go get more information about. So if you look and there's trips on 4/4, go to that bid window, and then you can pull up more information what you want to bid for.
Right.
See there the hours involved. That would probably tell you it's a round trip. But
correct.
I've seen many errors made when they split a request into a take and return. Something doesn't get adjusted for the return times and things. The times might look like a round trip, but it's only a one-way, vice versa.
I think, and we're still working through this, but I believe that the new setup is going to help us with that. Okay. It does the split for us. It's not Janine or Anthony making the switch and then doing all the times. Yeah, there's a button we can hit to split the trip, and then actually when you come to this window, you're bidding on the take or you're bidding on the return.
That stuff should be accurate based on the one initial request.
Correct. So I do think we have one in here. I don't know what date it is, but
that makes sense.
As we encounter it, I think it'll be pretty clear. Because I looked at it yesterday, and it had a message in there about a split. Mike?
I'm not quite clear on what she means by hours given up.
So the hours given up is something that other districts use that we will not. But in other systems, they might say, I'm going to give up my afternoon route to drive this charter. We don't do that. So, but we do need the box because we've always asked you guys to enter in overtime. So basically, we've kind of adapted that box to our use.
You have no yes or no.
Correct. So we're never giving up hours. So that's always going to be 0. And really, it's just a way to get to that comment. So the comment of overtime is what we're looking for there. Deb?
Are we going to have the ability to do this here at the bus garage, or is this something we have to do it on our own?
Oh, no. Yep, we're going to have it on all the computers here. As a reminder, I have a handout I'm going to put by the computers. It's basically everything that you walk through, step by step, of how you sign up for a trip.
If we gave you an alternative email address, then we're going to be pre-registered, like she said?
Yep, and you'll get an email about getting registered and getting set up. Sharon, can you hear me?
Yeah,
This will show past trips. Is that correct? When they've completed a trip in their assignments?
Yes, they will. It does. So in the assignments here, when you've been assigned, it's going to show you by default just trips from this day forward, so trips in the future. But if you would like to see trips that are in the past, there is an all trips radio button here that you can click on, and it'll show you trips that you've driven on in the past.
Okay.
Now you've got an inner mileage or driver hours, that's something we're gonna use, or just gonna go based off that what we turn this list.
Yeah, correct. Nothing on your end is going to change as far as entering mileage. Just you'll collect it on the sheet. The sheet will be a little less convoluted than the last one, and then you turn it in, and we'll take care of the miles and the hours.
We will ultimately be awarded through getting a sheet to put in.
Correct. The only thing that's changing for you guys is how you sign up for trips. Once you're awarded, we'll put the sheet in your time card slot. And then you'll collect the mileage, you'll turn it back into base.
So you guys award them
No, we award it. Yep, we're still driving this ship. Bill?
Yeah, we get it as well, right?
If you sign up on the sheet that I passed around and you put your provider and your phone number, you'll get a text when you're awarded.
Well, I haven't seen that. It's going around.
It's going around, and just don't leave before you sign up for it. Sharon, they'll get a text and an email. Is that correct? If they sign up for both?
That's right. If we have that information about with their phone number and their mobile provider, they can also receive a text in addition to the email. So, you know, if you don't want to get a text, don't give us your phone number and your email address. You know, just provide your email, not your phone number. But if you want both, provide both.
So we can use our personal email other than the district.
Correct. You can put your personal email on the sheet that I'm passing around. That's how you're going to be set up. Bill?
You can use your current email too, right?
You can do that as well.
And is there an app that runs on Google for this?
Is there an app, Sharon? I think there's not. There is a mobile version of the site.
There is. I think we're encouraging you to start with the web version on the computer and maybe get through a few bids that way. But then absolutely you can put the link to your travel tracker on your phone, and it shows very nicely on your phone for the bidding.
So it's not an app per se that you download.
It's not an app, right? It's not an app. It's just still the link, but it is. But it does really show well on any device. So if you would like to play with that, maybe. But maybe the first few bids, just kind of get used to the process in doing the web version, and then maybe try the phone if you'd like to, the mobile version.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think once you get in here and actually do it, I think you'll find a lot of your questions answer themselves. But
Where do you find the link to get this on your home computer?
we're going to have it on the Eden Prairie webpage.
Okay.
You'll also get it in your email that Sharon sent you. So maybe just bookmark it once you get it on your home computer. It'll be under resources once I get that going. We're in a transition stage, so I don't want to confuse all the coaches out there and everyone who uses it right now. So
That's where I see the problems come from.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So is it the end of?
Steve?
Yeah, Brian, in addition to the hard copy we get in our mailboxes, is there a reward version on the website or maybe the app where I can write notes in like pick up or park, enter the school area through this entrance and park near the flagpole in front of the building? I mean, something that I could take notes on that can have a soft copy on my computer. Or do I have to just write it down?
Yeah, I don't believe there'd be something that you can edit and make notes for yourself. Is there another, Rick?
So at the end of April, this is all going to be in place? Is that what you're hoping?
This is in place at the end of March. So we're starting April 1st. So, and if anyone has problems, I'll be around to help next week. You want to sign up for some trips April 2nd and you're having trouble, we'll work it out.
There's nothing on the website for that vacation week right now on the old system.
On the old system. There are some on the new system. So we have next week to get signed up. There's some community ed stuff that goes out over the break.
Maybe some of the senior guys won't figure it out.
Okay. I think, like I said, once you get in and using it, I have a packet that's going to walk you through step by step how to do it. If you have questions, come talk to Randy, myself, Anthony. We're going to help you. Bill?
When we click on the more button on the calendar, why can't we just have a sign up button right there?
Because there isn't one.
We have to go out and go to the
I know.
day and pick it from the day. Why can't we just have a sign up button right up at more?
They haven't hired my father.
It's an easy change.
That's something, I don't know if you heard that at all, Sharon.
Oh, no, I couldn't.
I think what they're asking for, and I don't know if this is ever something you guys have looked at, I'm sure it is, but from the calendar page, if they could just bid right from there, I mean, that would be.
Right.
More buttons.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. That really would be. That's probably not something that can be managed, though, from the calendar, though, just all the programming and everything behind it.
Okay, fair enough.
Start the next section in 5 minutes.
Okay. All right, so you guys can split. We're going to start the next section in 5 minutes. If anyone really wants to watch it a second time, go ahead. And we'll walk you through it.
Sign-up sheet here.
The sign-up sheet is currently with JC, so if you haven't signed up, please do so.